All right, everybody, welcome back to a video about working with Python to get some sense out of our data. Okay, so a couple things I want to start off with. First is this is my week 3 file, and what I did is I file, save a copy in Drive, but then when I did that, it put it into my Colab folder, and so I had to go through after I made that copy. I had to go through and make sure it was in my Python folder. So it's in my Python folder, but originally this was in the wrong folder, and I had to move it. So the next thing is I wanted to make a copy of my version rather than somebody else's, because my path and my file name has to be correct. Otherwise, it's not going to find my file. And I want to keep going from what I've done before and just continue on. And so what I've done, a couple things new, is I've imported a couple of more packages, Seaborn as SNS, and then matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. And so both of those are going to be used in this. Because we're going to start doing some graphs. You know, we've had some tables for frequency distributions, but it's still, until you see the chart, it's kind of hard to see what's really going on with your variable. You see individual values, and then you see summaries of how many of each value and stuff, but it's just not the same as seeing a graph, really. Okay, so then you'll see that I've kind of taken away all this stuff around my categorical variables. Remember last time when we did our data management, we did it for all 4 variables, but then we only did our formatting for the categorical. Well, I've taken away my categorical variables, and all code that has to do with my categorical variables, I've taken that away, because what we're going to do today is called a histogram. And it's a way to plot quantitative data. Makes no sense at all to make a histogram for categorical data. Okay, we'll do other graphs for our categorical, but I just deleted it. Who needs it for this particular file? And so this is kind of what I had already for my quantitative, and I'm going to work on from there. So the next thing that I'm going to do is we're going to be using Seaborn, which is a package created on top of this other package, Matplotlib. So kind of have imported both of those. But what's cool about Seaborn is you have a lot of control over how your graph looks. And so what I've done at first is I've done SNS, and that just stands for I'm doing a Seaborn command. And then set theme, and there's a bunch of different things that you can do with the theme, but one of them is to kind of set this background, and the default is that it's kind of grayed out, and then you have this light white grid for the different numbers, so that it's pretty easy to see. Now this is percents, but it's pretty easy to see that over here, this bar up here is up at about 25%. Without those lines, it's a little bit harder to estimate how high things are. So that's kind of nice. And that's the default theme that comes with Seaborn. But the palette, I wanted it to be different from what the default color scheme is. So that's all the palette is your color scheme. And this URL right here brings you to this file. I'm leaving Colab. Okay. To check out all the different color schemes. And because my histogram only really is using one color, it would just be the very first color on this list. And when you have more than one color, it kind of goes, here's the first color, here's the second, here's the third, here's the fourth, etc. So for this particular thing, what you want to do is figure out what color you want your bars to be. And I chose plasma. I thought this dark purple was kind of cool. If you don't see a color that you like and you're kind of into color, you can kind of create your own palette and have any colors you want. And so this describes how that's done. It's not super hard, but if you're into it, there you go. And let's see, I thought that there was a link to this other site. Um, anyway, there's some kind of cool palettes beyond these that I'll try to find for you guys. I used them last semester, and I can't find it right now, but I'll find that at some point. But if you're just really into color and you don't see the color that you want, and you want to have more control over what color you're using, let me know, and I'll jump on that a little bit faster than I would naturally. But anyway, there's plenty of colors to choose from. And so what I did is, for this first histogram, that I'm giving a histogram of sibling count, where I drop all the nans. We don't want the nans to be going in here. I have bin width set at 1. Like, if I change this bin width to 3, let's just say, why did I just do that? There we go. If I set the bin width to 3, look at how that changes when I run this. Oh, just FYI, for this other one, I set to this other color coming off of set 2, and that was the last thing that Python had heard about what color I wanted to use. So I'd have to rerun that to reset it to plasma, and then run this. And notice that the width of these bars is width 3 rather than width 1. And so what that's doing is it's taking everybody that has no siblings, 1 sibling, and 2 siblings, and lumping them all together. And so over half of the data set, over 50% of the data set, the people have siblings between 0 and 2 siblings. I'm going to go back to 1. I thought that was kind of a good bin width to use, so that you see, okay, so this is what percentage has no siblings, this is what percentage has 1 sibling, this is what percentage has 2 siblings, etc. And what you see in this shape is it's kind of like clumped. Almost everybody has hardly any siblings, and the more siblings you're talking about, the fewer people that has it, down to where less than 1% have more than 10 siblings. And that makes sense, right? You don't know too many people that have lots and lots of siblings. And the name of this shape is what's called skewed right. And so when you look at my slide for this week, and I go over to histograms, I just put that word skewed right on top of this histogram, right? Just to label that's a definitive shape. I see it. Okay. And so the kind of things that you need in here are the variable name that you're doing, the bin width is good, stat percent, that's kind of nice to see percents up here. KDE equals false. If I made that true instead, then you're going to see kind of this little line going around it, trying to smooth out that data and give you kind of a sense, again, of the shape of the data. I don't know if that's really helpful on this histogram, so I'm going to put it back to false, but that's what that's doing. And then I put a title on here. So again, matplotlib pyplot is this PLT, and I can put this title, I can put this title right at the top and make that whatever I want. I just have to put whatever title I want in quotes. It by default puts the variable that you're using here to make the histogram out of down at the bottom, because these numbers are all sibling counts. So there's my histogram for sibling counts, and here's my histogram for diagnosed with asthma. And I did a bin width of 2. I thought that looked the best. I played around and saw that. And I kind of see these 2 ages that are sticking out at me. Babies that are diagnosed with asthma, and then right around preteen, right around puberty, a bunch more people were diagnosed with asthma. And so that bimodal kind of, wow, these are just staring out at me as 2 ages where a lot of people, if they're diagnosed with asthma, that's when it happens in their life. And we can just grab that straight from looking at this histogram. All right, so we're getting close to 10 minutes. There's really nothing more to talk about here. Good luck. As usual, I'll give as much help as I can. All right, see you in class. Bye.